Welcome to Rice TVX and the newest episode of the Rice Crypto Show. Give me a 5x5. Let me know you can hear me loud and clear. Today we're going to be talking about Central Bank Digital Currencies, CBDCs. Going to explain what they are and the dangers they represent. And make sure you smash that like button because it helps other people to be able to find these videos in the YouTube algorithm flow, and it helps people to find Rice TVX. Again, give me a 5x5 and let me know you can hear me loud and clear. Before we begin, a few quick messages from the sponsors of Rice TVX, and I always have to give a shout out to Pre-Search and Monarch Wallet. Thank you for that 5x5, Mr. Sean from New World Crypto. I greatly appreciate you, my friend. So once again, we are going to be talking about Central Bank Digital Currencies, CBDCs. I will have links down below for everything I talk about today. But basically, Central Bank Digital Currencies are digital tokens. They're similar to cryptocurrency, but different, and they're issued by a central bank. And they're pegged. Check this out. This is crazy. They're pegged to the value of the country's fiat currency. Fiat is not backed by anything, just in case you didn't know. Now, I do have a new channel. Rice TVX is going to be focusing specifically on cryptocurrency, economics, finance, and politics. If you like the content that was called Stranger Than Fiction, make sure you are subscribed to my new YouTube channel, Rice Against the Grain. Links are down below in the video description. Make sure you sign up for my mailing list and pay attention to the channel promo. Before we get into it, make sure you visit ricetvx.com and sign up for my mailing list so you never miss an update or new Rice TVX and Rice Against the Grain content. You will also find links to all of my various channels as well as my social media. Make sure you're following both of my YouTube channels, Rice TVX as well as Rice Against the Grain. And due to censorship, make sure you follow me on other alternative platforms such as Rumble and Odyssey, where I do post up exclusive content. If you want to support Rice TVX, be sure to check out and join my Patreon channel, where you will get early access to my videos with no ads, unedited. You will also get exclusive content and more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in for tonight's live stream all about central bank digital currencies. Now, one thing I will encourage you, just in case you have not watched this video, it's titled "Something Terrible is Happening to Our Global Financial System." Shout out to Donut for the name suggestion for that name for that video. This is the thumbnail: Global Financial System, or Global Slave System. It's a report by Kent Lewis. It is a very informative interview. And some of the things I'm going to be talking about, I'm taking away from some of his research. So thank you again for tuning in. Make sure, again, you do smash that like button if you have not already. I want to real quick shout out the people that have joined me. It was really weird. I saw like 40 people waiting, which is unusual. I was like, maybe my stuff is getting through the algorithm. And we have 11 people watching with us live, which I greatly appreciate. I think I might have scheduled this a little over an hour in advance. I wasn't expecting a huge turnout, because of the stuff that I've been dealing with YouTube, with the censorship and the shadow banning. It is what it is. But thank you, Henry Bob Swillikers. It's good seeing you. You made it live. It's awesome. Thanks again, Sean C. I encourage everybody to make sure you're going over and checking out his YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribing. He will be a guest on the show very soon. All right, so we have Jace Ventura as well in the house. Mr. X, it's always good to see you. Yes, Donut is definitely a cool dude. Catherine Peterson, it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. I've been actually wanting to reach out to you and talk with you about a few things. So if you can hit me up tomorrow, that would be great. Sometime afternoon, just hit me up and I'll let you know what my availability is. Got a few things I wanted to run by you if you're free tomorrow. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into today's video, all about these central bank digital currencies. And again, everything that I share on today's video is going to be linked down below in the video description. So first off, I got to explain what a central bank digital currency is. Now, once I'm done going over the information that I was planning on covering on today's live stream, I will come to the comment section. So if anybody has any questions, anything that they want to add, feel free in today's live comment section. Again, I will come back at the end of my presentation of everything I was covering, and we'll go from there. I don't need to have an earpiece in my ear now that I know I'm good to be heard. So again, this comes from investopedia.com. It's a really good resource. I wanted to pull something that was non-crypto related or non-crypto specific so that we can get kind of some generalizations about what a central bank digital currency is. So a central bank digital currency are digital tokens similar to cryptocurrency issued by a central bank, and they're pegged to the value of that country's fiat currency, as I mentioned. Many countries are developing CBDCs, and some have even implemented them. Because so many countries are researching ways to transition to digital currencies, it's important to understand what they are and what they mean for society. Now, the key takeaways from this article is a central bank digital currency is a digital form of a fiat currency. A CBDC is issued and regulated by a nation's monetary authority or central bank. In the United States, that would be the Federal Reserve, which is not part of the federal government, and it's owned by private banks. CBDCs promote financial inclusion and simplify the implementation of monetary policy and fiscal policy. As a centralized form of currency, they may not anonymize transactions as some cryptocurrencies do, which means, again, Bitcoin is a completely open ledger. It's pseudo-anonymous. It's not anonymous. It's pseudo-anonymous. And it can be tracked using different sorts of software that the government and other agencies have created to be able to figure out through chain analysis whose address is whose. If you're really good about what you're doing and know how to send cryptocurrencies properly, you can avoid some of this, but it is an open, transparent system. So with this, though, it's saying that as a centralized form of currency, you're not going to have any anonymity. There is no privacy is basically what it's saying. And many countries are exploring how CBDCs will affect their economies, existing networks, and stability. So understanding central bank digital currencies. Fiat money is a government-issued currency that is not backed by a physical commodity like gold or silver. And I will repeat that. Fiat money, and that is what we deal with, US dollars and all the different foreign exchange currencies. Fiat money is government-issued currency that is not backed by a physical commodity like gold or silver. It is considered a form of legal tender that can be used to exchange goods and services. Traditionally, fiat money came in the form of banknotes and coins, but technologies allow governments and financial institutions to supplement physical fiat money with a credit-based model in which balances and transactions are recorded digitally. Physical currency is still widely exchanged and accepted. However, some countries, developed countries, have experienced a significant decrease in its use, and that trend was accelerated during the Banana 19 So the introduction and evolution of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology have further created interest in cashless societies and digital currencies. Thus, governments and central banks worldwide are exploring the possibility of using government backed digital currencies. When and if they are implemented, these currencies would have the full faith and backing of the government that issued them, just like the fiat physical money. The one thing I want to say before moving on is that I am not for a cashless society. I am pro cryptocurrency. I am pro blockchain, but I am not pro cashless. And I'm very pro gold, silver, precious metals. I believe people should diversify. And again, I've explained it in previous videos, but I look at precious metals as a way for my present time to preserve what I have, what I own, as far as the purchasing power of how much I have. And then I look at cryptocurrencies as a future way for me to accumulate and expand upon what I currently have. And I always encourage people to make sure that they're doing their own research. I do offer cryptocurrency consultations if you're interested. And as a matter of fact, what I'll do is I will throw up some information at the bottom of the screen here so that if you are interested in getting a consultation, and it's a good time when the markets are down to be able to learn about these technologies, you can schedule a consultation with this information that's right here on the screen. Make sure you email Rice Media Group at protonmail.com and put consultation in the subject. Okay, so to move forward, I encourage you to read these articles in their entirety. I'm not going to go over everything specifically because what I wanted to do was explain what a CBDC is and then go into how it's different from something like Bitcoin, a decentralized cryptocurrency, and then talk about the dangers and threats that a CBDC represent in addition to the control that it gives governments. I want to go ahead and take this full screen so that everybody can see this a little bit better. I'm going to read a good portion of this, and there's a really good diagram too that I'm going to be sharing here in just a moment. And if you have not smashed that like button, please take time to smash that like button because it really does help. It's a way to support the channel, helps the algorithm, and helps bring attention to the channel. So it'd be greatly appreciated. Smash that like button if you have not already. Okay, so let me go ahead and read this out for everyone. All right, so a central bank digital currency is a digital version of a country's currency that is available for households and businesses to use for payments and storing value. CBDCs are created and issued by a country's central bank, which is why they are called central bank digital currencies. This comes from hackernoon.com, and it's an article by Emmanuel Awasika. Hope I know I totally butchered that. So, Emmanuel, if you happen to be catching this, I do apologize. I really did agree with a lot of the things that was said in this article. The article itself is called CBDCs are a very bad idea. Very simple to the point, but it is a bad idea. It's a bad idea for us. It's a good idea for governments. All right, so where was I? All right. So CBDCs are backed by the government and pegged to the value of the national currency, and this makes a CBDC different from a cryptocurrency. It is different from a current cryptocurrency, which isn't backed by any institution or asset. It's not centralized or controlled by one entity. And we'll continue exploring why CBDCs, and I'm using Bitcoin as a decentralized cryptocurrency as the example. Since CBDCs have legal tender status, you can buy goods, pay for services, or settle your taxes with them, things that you cannot do with crypto yet. Now, there are countries, there are states that do accept cryptocurrency for taxes. So I would add that. You could think of CBDCs as stable coins, which are cryptocurrencies that derive value from real world assets like the dollar. Stable coins like Tether and the Binance USD, the BUSD, which can be bought and redeemed like regular dollars and offers investors protection against crypto's volatile price swings. Now, there is some speculation and talk here in the United States that we could potentially be utilizing something like USDC as our so-called CBDC or digital dollar. I am going to be doing a dive into that, and I don't think that's going to be the case. And when I do a video on that, I will be explaining why I don't think that would be the case. So, to continue on with the article, like cryptocurrencies, CBDCs use distributed ledger technology, DLT, to facilitate a supply of money and transaction monitoring. Also, central banks may integrate permit payment services with the ledger to facilitate easier transactions. Now, it's saying it uses distributed ledger technology, DLT. So, distributed ledger technology is blockchain is a form of distributed ledger technology. There's also other different types of distributed ledgers, these DLTs, hash graph being one. In this particular case, the difference in between a CBDC and Bitcoin, again, as the example for a decentralized cryptocurrency, is that Bitcoin is an open, transparent system that is immutable, which means you can't change anything about it. But a central bank digital currency, what they would do is have control of it because it would be centralized. It would be controlled by a single node or a small group of controlled nodes, and it would be a hidden closed system because now it would be open to the government and the central banks, but it wouldn't be open to the public because if everything was transparent, then we would have access to what the government has to say and what they're doing with funds and how different money currency is being spent via tax dollars, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't see something like USDC in its current form being on the Ethereum blockchain, being that everything is completely open and transparent. They could create a USDC on an enterprise type blockchain or a closed blockchain, a cloned version of Ethereum that's completely closed off, centralized, and no access to the public. There are such things. That's why I try to tell people. And if you haven't seen my video about the Bitcoin white paper, I did a video about the Bitcoin white paper last Monday. It was the 14th anniversary of the Bitcoin white paper coming out by Satoshi Nakamoto. Then I did a video about the cypherpunks and the cypherpunks manifesto. I encourage you to check those out because I really go deep into why I got involved in crypto and how crypto and blockchain can be used to control us, and it can be used as a way for us to get away from the control. It is the problem and the solution at the same time. But CBDCs would not be using traditional blockchain type DLT, distributed ledger technology. They would be using a closed system that would not be open and transparent, that would be mutable where they can change things and they can program it. And that's something that I want to be getting into with the dangers of central bank digital currencies. Let me go ahead real quick and finish up what we have to say in this article. Again, I'm not reading this in its entirety. Everything's linked down below. Definitely check it out. This is giving a diagram of how the API would be connected into a central bank, the Federal Reserve in this case in the United States, and how the payment interface providers would interact between the API to go directly to the central bank. So the user in between an interface / API to the central bank is basically what this diagram is showing. There is some information about why central banks are so popular. They even talk about the fact that Bahama launched the very first CBDC in 2020. It's called the Sand Dollar, and more countries have followed suit, including China, which introduced a digital yuan at this year's Winter Olympics. And that's when it went public in China. So it goes into some risks of using CBDCs. The one thing that I really want to stress is encroachments on privacy rights. And this is something I talk about in the cypherpunk video if you haven't watched it. CBDCs will usher in an unprecedented levels of spying on the privacy of citizens. Every purchase, every transfer, every payment can and will be logged in a government database For both benign taxes and non-benign financial surveillance reasons, governments will become Big Brother, tracking who is doing what with money in the country. If it wants, governments can easily block certain transactions it deems illegal. This could be anything from buying legal marijuana, paying an informal worker, or even remitting money to your family in blacklisted countries. Cryptocurrencies provide the opportunity to transact directly with any party without anyone interfering. CBDCs threaten to turn this upside down and increase government oversight over monetary exchanges between individuals. Also, single points of failure, because like most cryptocurrencies, it runs on a public blockchain sustained by a distributed network of computers, which are nodes. The decentralized nature of the public blockchain network allows it to keep operating even if a few nodes malfunction or suffer attacks. Hacking a cryptocurrency requires controlling every node running on the network, a difficult, cost-effective, and impractical task. That's why cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum have remained secured for years. CBDCs will be fully centralized and hosted on private or permissioned blockchains. Bitcoin is a permissionless blockchain. You don't have to have permission to use Bitcoin. Anyone can use Bitcoin. But in this case, you would have to have permission to be able to use this private blockchain-based CBDC. While these have better transaction speeds, they create a single points of failure. Malicious actors only need to breach a few servers, and then suddenly they can control the entire country's monetary supply. Perhaps CBDC supporters have forgotten, but decentralization is the point of blockchain technology. It is the point of blockchain technology. A centralized digital currency exacerbates the very problems like double spending, which cryptocurrencies were designed to solve. And this is a really good look at how a node system would be set up for a centralized versus decentralized system. So here on this part of the screen, the centralized architecture, you see you have one single point here that connects to everybody. Now, as far as a decentralized distributed architecture, you have each computer is hooked up to each other individually. I know this looks like some crazy sacred geometry, but this is just showing the connections between each and every single one of these computers that makes this network strong. And that is why Bitcoin is the strongest secured network that we have on this planet. So the next thing I'm going to talk about, and this comes straight from the video that I did with Kent Lewis, the video that I'm going to be showing the thumbnail right here. This video right here, make sure you check out this video because the information I'm sharing right now, and you can read along with me because every single word on here I cannot read out specifically out loud. So either I'll leave it blank or I'll try to make up a word in its place. But you can read along with me and get the gist of what's being said. So this comes directly from Kent Lewis's research, and he talks about digital currencies and CBDCs are programmable, which means they can program in any of the following. Governments and financial institutions will have the ability to shut off your digital currency. Think about what happened with the Canadian Freedom Convoy. Again, governments and financial institutions will have the ability to shut off your digital currency. Can they do that with your bank? Yes. Can they do that with my Bitcoin? No. The ability to freeze accounts if you speak out against agendas. We see what's happening with the fact checking, the censorship, the shadow banning. So zero privacy. All transactions are tracked and recorded forever. Everything. So for the guy who doesn't want his wife to know he's buying a prostitute, or for the woman who is a heroin addict, zero privacy, all transactions tracked and recorded forever. And so geographic spending limits, where they can basically say you can't spend this money in certain locations or certain countries. Restrictions and limits on what can be purchased. And this is all into programmability. Restrictions and limits on savings. Stable coins and the cryptocurrency element have programmability elements. That's how they're actually able to stop transactions when they know they're being done for nefarious or illegal purposes. It's already happened with USDC and USDT. We also have restrictions and limits on what can be purchased, restrictions and limits on savings, expiration dates on the currency, which means you would have to spend it in a certain amount of time. And I'll give you some examples of this because this is a reality. Digital assets must mitigate climate change and pollution and promote financial inclusion and equity. And that's already been brought up with the arguments of the power consumption with proof of work. Negative interest rates, real-time monetary policy effects of inflation. They can get a better control over their inflation, they say, by being able to create everything in a digital format and have complete control over it. We also have automatic tax collection, automatic collection of government fines, tickets, child support, student loans, etc. A direct account with the Federal Reserve or central banks. That's already been tried to be introduced in legislation. Look at the Banking for All Act in the United States, because that would give everybody a direct account with the Federal Reserve. Local banks may cease to exist. We have carbon credits for travel that'll be tracked and controlled by the WEF and Rabobank. We have the elimination of paper fiat currency, which is going cashless, which again, I am not for. Next parts I'll be careful with. You will make payments with your device. They do that in China now. Or you will be chipped in the hand, or ID 2020. I will be talking about the dangers of digital ID in an upcoming video. And the banana jobbed will be able to pay with their body. The banana jobbed. Financial institutions will have the ability to enforce social credit scores. Financial institutions will have the ability to enforce social credit scores. Universal basic income would be distributed via CBDCs. And they verify vacation status. Vacation status. So is this a form of modern slavery? That's something that you definitely need to ask yourself. I've got a few things that I'm going to be sharing to give some examples of what we're dealing with. And then I will be coming to see what everybody has to say in the comments. Now, I want to talk about China. I've got a website that also is a tracker for CBDCs in different nations that are working to develop. And I also have some information that I want to encourage everyone to do their own research on, which is in regards to a digital dollar CBDC here in the United States and how it could come about via possibly FedNow through the Federal Reserve, Project Hamilton, the digital dollar project. So we'll go over that here in just a few. But again, all this information is shown on that video with the thumbnail, global financial system, global slave system. Check out that full video. All right, so this is coming from Reuters, this particular article right here. And I just wanted to share a few things just in glance about central bank digital currencies, because over 315,000 in digital yuan was used every day at the Olympics. This is the Beijing Olympics. This is February 16th, 2022. The People's Bank of China officials say. So London had reported on the 15th that it was 300 million, but it was only 315,000, which is still a large amount of money. China's new digital currency, the ECNY, or some people are calling the digital yuan, is being used to make 2 million yuan or more payments a day in its latest pilot at the Beijing Winter Olympics. A top official from the Chinese Central Bank, the People's Bank of China, said. Excuse me. While the Bahamas have already has a fully functioning digital currency, China's sheer size means that its attempt to develop a central bank digital currency is being closely watched. So there's more information here, but I really wanted you to kind of get the understanding that during the Beijing Olympics was the debut of the digital yuan, and that was kind of a scary scenario. Because that is showing real world use for these things. And a lot of people that were traveling to Beijing were utilizing these. So, and this comes from June of 21. 2021, when China started releasing their digital currency, they were doing trials and they were handing out, in this particular instance, 6.2 million in digital currency to Beijing residents as part of the trial. It said China will hand out 40 million, which is 6.2 million in US of its digital currency to citizens in Beijing in a lottery. Residents of the Chinese capital can use two banking apps to apply to win one of the 200,000 so-called red packets as part of the lottery containing 200 yuan each. China has yet to do a nationwide rollout of the digital yuan, which has been developing since 2014, but it is instead focusing on trials in the form of lotteries around the country. So again, this was June of 21, way before they did the Beijing Olympics. So they were basically giving out money. You had to basically follow their rules and procedures to be able to partake in this. So it was just another way to get people to start being used to following what governments are wanting you to do to utilize these technologies. And it also says in this article from CNBC that the digital yuan is not a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. For one, it's issued by a central authority, the People's Bank of China, while Bitcoin is not, and it's therefore decentralized. Instead, China's efforts are an example of central bank digital currency, and the People's Bank of China is aiming to digitize banknotes and coins in circulation. But that would mean ultimately to get rid of those coins in circulation. Now, when I talked about programmability, this article was put out on July 2nd, 2021. And Chinese new digital yuan test shows it can be programmed to confine utility. So in this particular instance, the free ECNY will arrive with a pre-programmed utility for covering fees from subway, bus tickets, or shared bike services. It appears to be the first time that the Chinese government is testing the ECNY's programmability to limit its usage to specific purposes. So to take this a little bit further, if you're overweight, and we're on a CBDC system, even with or without a social credit score, and the government knows that you're overweight, they may not allow you to spend your CBDC, your digital dollar, at McDonald's, because everything on a McDonald's menu is going to be unhealthy for you. So the government can decide what you can and cannot eat. So that's one of the things that I really want people to take in consideration when I'm talking about this whole idea of what CBDCs are and why, excuse me, I'm not sure why I'm burping so much, but why these things are dangerous to us and our freedom and our privacy. And privacy is a right. We should all have the availability to privacy. I talk about it in the Cypherpunk Manifesto video, but there's a difference between privacy and secrecy. Privacy is something that I can choose to reveal the information if I want to. Secrets are something that I want to keep hidden. And I like to use the bathroom as a good example. When you have to go and take a number two, when you have to take a shit and you have to sit down on a toilet, do you want to do that in a fashion? Do you want to shit in a bathroom with no door? Do you want to shit in a bathroom that's made of glass? Like a porta potty that's made of glass or clear plexiglass where everybody can see? I know money and shitting aren't exactly the same thing, but privacy is when it comes to both. And privacy is a right, and we should have that. And central bank digital currencies would take away that privacy, and it would give that control to the central banks and to governments. And that's why I wanted to make this video and talk about the dangers of what these central bank digital currencies, when I say potentially, can bring to us. It's a reality that this is happening. It's already happening in other countries. And the more it happens in other countries, the more it will happen, and the quicker it will happen here in the United States. So people really need to take that in all complete seriousness. Now, the other things that I wanted to share, and I'm not even really going to really read anything about this. I just specifically wanted to share a few websites. And again, these will be linked down below in the video description. So I encourage you to make sure you're checking these out if you want to do a deeper dive. Some people are speculating that FedNow, which is a service, a new service for the Federal Reserve that's going to be launching, could in fact be a hidden way of introducing a central bank digital currency. So this comes straight from the Federal Reserve, from the Federal Reserve Services.org. This is a straight website from the Federal Reserve. You can get all the information, learn about what Fed service is, as far as going into detail. The table of contents has the launch timing, service design, payment flow, use cases, resources. As you scroll down, you'll see a lot of information in regards to this as you do your own research on FedNow being created by the Federal Reserve as a potential CBDC. We also have Project Hamilton that's working with MIT, or it's MIT, and they're working in conjunction with the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. So this will be linked down below. They have basically the core design and results, the learning, their phases, the executive summary, the open source code, any frequently asked questions, the press release, and the white paper that you can read in its entirety. And this is MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Digital Currency Initiative, so MIT DCI, and the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, the Boston Fed, are collaborating on this exploratory research known as Project Hamilton. Now, Kent Lewis seems to think that Project Hamilton is just something to kind of throw people off the trail of what the government is actually doing. That's possible, but I definitely encourage you to educate yourself and find out more about Project Hamilton, Phase 1, the executive summary. The next thing that I was going to share is the Digital Dollar Project. This is a partnership between Accenture and the Digital Dollar Foundation to advance the exploration of the United States Central Bank Digital Currency. The purpose of the project is to encourage research and public discussion on the potential advantages of a digital dollar, convene private sector through leaders and actors, and propose possible models to support the public sector. The project will moderate programs with interested stakeholders to measure the value and establish practical steps that can be taken to establish a digital dollar. And we have J. Chris Giancarlo, former chairman of the US CFTC. He is a co-founder of the Digital Dollar Foundation. You can read more about their partners and everything that the Digital Dollar Project and the Digital Dollar Foundation is all about. And the other thing I wanted to share with you, this comes from atlanticcouncil.org. It's the last thing I want to share. And then we're going to be talking. I want to be coming back to the comments and seeing what everybody has to say and what's been said. So this is a tracker. Basically, you can look at the different countries all around the world. There's 112 countries, currency unions tracked. You can click here to filter it. But with the different colors, we have 11 that have launched CBDCs. We have 15 countries that are in pilot mode. And you can see the colors. We have 26 that are developing CBDCs. We have 46 that are researching. That is kind of the light blue color that you see, kind of a dull blue. That is where the United States is currently at right now, is in the area of research. It looks like Canada is in the area of pilot, or excuse me, development. We have 10 inactive and 2 that have canceled. Pink are the ones that canceled. That would be Nigeria. Let me see here, make sure this is correct. That's launched. So where is the pinks? Okay. So the pinks are, Senegal. Senegal has said, hell no. Nope. Status canceled. And Ecuador said, hell no. Both those countries have said that. So the ones that have launched, we see here Nigeria has launched. Senegal. Oh, I got to click that off. Okay. So Nigeria has launched. We have the Eastern Caribbean, which consists of 8 countries. So that's 9. Jamaica, 10. Bahamas, 11. It's interesting that China's not. China's got the piloting, which I guess would make sense because I guess it hasn't fully been launched. So yeah, the ones that are currently in development. So these are the pilot. These are your pilot program countries. We have Ghana. We have Saudi Arabia. Ukraine. Ukraine also introduced digital ID. And that's something that me and Kent talk about as well. Russia, Mother Russia, Sweden. Isn't it interesting? Both Ukraine and Russia have pilot. Sweden, South Korea, Hong Kong, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia. What do we have down here? South Africa. That's what I thought it was. So yeah, you can check this out for yourself and keep up to date with all the different countries and where they are standing, because this is a CBDC tracker. All you got to do is hover over a country to see their status, click on a country to learn more. Let's see here. So yeah, if you click on it, it will tell you like the United States Federal Reserve has been actively researching a central bank digital currency. In January 2022, the Federal Reserve issued a long-awaited report on the possibility of issuing a CBDC. While the report made no specific commitment to introduce a CBDC, it highlights the many potential benefits of CBDCs and calls for Congress and the public to engage on this important issue. In February 2022, the Boston Fed and MIT Digital Currency Initiative laid out the findings of Phase 1 of Project Hamilton, a technical research project on the scalability, speed, and resilience of the CBDC processor. On March 9th, 2022, the Biden administration signed an executive order on digital assets, which called for the whole of government approach to developing a CBDC. In September 2022, 7 papers were released by U.S. Agencies pertaining to the development of digital assets, and they encouraged the Fed to conduct both retail and wholesale testing. So again, you can click on each country and get more specific information, as I just shared right there. So I will take time here. I do appreciate everybody again for tuning in. I hope this information has been informative. I hope you've learned more about what a central bank digital currency is, how it's different from Bitcoin specifically as a decentralized cryptocurrency, because even if a CBDC does utilize cryptography, it will be a closed, mutable, permissioned system, where Bitcoin is a permissionless, immutable, decentralized blockchain that anyone can participate without an intermediary, a middleman, a bridge, someone else to profit from just facilitating a transaction when you could just do it directly with people. So thank you again. Let me go ahead and see what everybody has to say. And hopefully we have some questions or some great comments here. Always hi to you, Mr. 420 Wild Dragon. I appreciate you tuning in. B Chad, good seeing you, my friend. Davey McGurn, and Jace Ventura 2, crypto groomed humans for CBDCs. Now, you can say that, but now please watch my video about the Bitcoin white paper, because again, cryptocurrency and blockchain is both the problem and the solution. Most of our monetary system is already digital. Most people are already comfortable tapping their phone, tapping their card, utilizing all these different technologies in a digital fashion so that they digitally transfer money from your account, currency from your account to another account, all digitally. Unless you're specifically dealing with cash, your debit cards, your ATM, your PayPal, your Cash App, your tap to pay has been training you, my friend. Cryptocurrency is giving you an option away from that control, that centralized control that a CBDC is going to bring. So I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. That's how I feel. That's my 2 Satoshis on that. The meaning that is all important is control. It is. It is very important. CBDC does offer the government and central banks control, and Bitcoin takes that away. And I'm using Bitcoin as that specific example. As a decentralized cryptocurrency, Bitcoin takes that power away from the central banks and from governments. Period. Point blank. Not only tracked, but have expiration and purchase exclusion. Yeah, what cryptocurrency does that? Bitcoin is not does not have an expiration date. Bitcoin doesn't have any sort of purchase exclusion that says that where you can and cannot spend your funds. So you're doing a great job helping me promote what Bitcoin is, my friend. Tricky Creations, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you guys haven't smashed that like button, I would greatly appreciate it. Just as Mr. Sean C has said, Dime Bar, it's good to see you in the house. I know it's late for you on your end, so thank you for joining. Good that you subbed my friend's channel there, Tricky. Thank you so much. Let's see here. He said the channel is going to be going live in a few weeks. That is New World Crypto. Just has some shorts on there posted right now until the main channel launch. So you guys can go over there, subscribe to the channel, check out the shorts, and in a few weeks, the channel will be going live. SBF is a government plant, period. It's interesting. Yeah, I didn't want to cover the SBF news. Everybody else is. So there's really no point in me trying to cover it until there's more that needs to be said or there's deeper research that needs to be done. The situation is pretty clear, and pretty much most everybody in the space is doing a great job of covering it. Vegas Freeballer. I have no clue who you are, but I love the name. I think I've heard the name before in a live stream, but I can't remember if you said who you are or not. No, you cannot trust the Fed at all. Very informative stream of the dangers of CBDC. Thank you, my friend. I try my best. I do try my best. Tiara, I think you did message me on Twitter. I will be messaging you back. She says, I think the more people learn about cryptos, the less likely they'll become dependent upon CBDCs, and vice versa. The more that people realize what a CBDC represents, the more it will help us to be able to explain and show people what the power of decentralization and decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin represents versus a CBDC. So yeah, I agree 100%. Hazley James, good to see you in the house. Hey to you. And Tricky, how do you think they're going to mass market CBDCs? Well, good question. What I would like to do is spend some time looking at the countries that have already developed it and seeing how the use case and seeing how it's being utilized by civilians. Look a little bit more into China. China's doing a great job by kind of doing a lottery and allowing people to sign up and enter to win the lottery. So they're already following protocols to be able to get that free money. So incentivizing, I think it'll be a big way of trying to put out the possibilities of why a CBDC would be good. Now, most people here in the United States, I think, are smart enough to know. I even think there's people with the Federal Reserve that are not fans of this idea. There's even politicians that I know are not fans of this idea and have tried to introduce something different than a central bank digital currency, because ultimately, the person, entity, group that has access to the centralized DLT technology, the blockchain like technology, will be able to have data on everybody. And in order to be able to use these CBDCs and use a CBDC wallet, you're going to have to provide information as to who you are. They will be doing KYC, know your customer, where they're asking for ID, possibly your home address, your phone number, a copy of a utility, maybe a picture of you, holding your ID, maybe a picture of you holding one of your utilities, maybe all the above. But in order to use these CBDCs, you're going to have to identify yourself, citizen. You will have to identify yourself before you can utilize these CBDCs. So everything that everyone does who utilizes this technology, there will be no privacy, complete tracking and tracing, and the programmability aspect that's just going to like completely destroy any semblance of freedom that we have. GWD Labs, I'm not sure why you're throwing up that number, man. I'm not a big fan of that number, so I'll just have to say that. Hazley's been trying to learn about TA from Frankie, but it's like he's speaking French. Sad I missed these streams. I'll have to rewatch. I appreciate you tuning in, Hazley. I think you emailed me. If you did or messaged me on Telegram, let me know how you contacted me. I'm trying to get caught back up on my emails. I'm not too far away from being caught up, and then trying to get caught up with my messages on social media, including you, Tiara. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure what's up with the number that you're throwing up there, GWD. I'm just going to go ahead and put you in timeout for a little bit because I'm not really a big fan of doing that now multiple times, unless you're saying that in reference to um, saying, I would say, if you're talking about CBDCs in some sort of relation to those three numbers, the sixth three times, then I understand. Otherwise, just please don't be spouting out those numbers in my live chat. I'd greatly appreciate that. Sean says, my fear is that the layman would just think CBDCs and crypto are the same thing. I agree. And that's where we, as content creators, Sean, have a responsibility. That's why I'm making this video. And I will continue to make more videos like these. And I'll even try to make it in a lot shorter of a form that's easier for someone like the layman to digest. So that will be coming. You know, we've got to educate our fellow man and our fellow brother and sister. We need to educate one another and keep everybody up to date on what's going on. It's our responsibility. If you've chosen cryptocurrency, you need to defend it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to wrap things up here. Hazley is asking, will the CBDC be the on-ramp to force everyone to use it? If they change the system, I mean, we're at an end of a fiat system as it is. If they change the system and get rid of dollars as we know it, and I think it'll be a transition. They can't immediately force everybody to use these things, but I guarantee you that they'll make it attractive for citizens to use CBDCs, whether giving discounts on things or offering free airdrops of the CBDCs because you did such and such. Definitely, I feel at some point we will get to a point where, and it would be sooner than later, where the once the adoption rate picks up with X amount of individuals using the CBDCs, then just cut off the cash flow, get rid of the physical cash, and then everyone would be forced into using CBDCs. So it's kind of like you give a little introduction, let people get a taste and feel what it's like, get people involved, and then when enough people get involved, you take away the cash and everyone's forced to use the CBDC. That would be the way I see it. I did email, but never got on Telegram. Don't use it much. Have you covered the LIBOR case? Are you talking about the LIBOR for like gold and silver? Or can you specify what LYBR is? And yeah, I'll look for your email, Hazley, and I'll make sure I get back to you. I do appreciate. Tricky Creations, it is our responsibility for those who know the difference to speak the difference. Well said, my friend. Well said. Library. Let me reread that. Have you covered the library case? I have not covered the library case. I did message why am I drawing on a blank? Jeremy Kaufman, the CEO of Library and Odyssey. I messaged him on Twitter. I even scheduled with him today, but he told me he wasn't doing any interviews right now. He let me know. He said he would let me know when he is doing interviews. Library did lose the case against the SEC. I need to read more about the transcription that came out about a week and a half ago from the decision that was helping the judge to make the decision that he made, to go through the verbiage that's in it. So I may make a video talking about that. I'm hoping to get an interview with Jeremy directly because Jeremy's a friend of mine and has been on the show many times. He was actually running for Senate this past election and didn't make it through as a libertarian, but he was running for Senate in his area of New Hampshire. So I am trying to get him on the show. Once I'm able to go over the transcription, I will be doing a video. But from what I'm understanding is this is not going to have any kind of effect on the XRP case. So we shall see. We shall see. Before we wrap up, I want to let everybody know I am doing a fundraiser. I'm going to be creating a website, building a website using private servers to replace my Patreon channel here within the next few months. It'll be a transition in and of itself. But what I'm doing is a fundraiser for you to get lifetime access. I'm offering this to 50 individuals. 50 individuals will get lifetime access plus a special swag bag gift I want to put together for $100. Now, if you were to do my Patreon at $5 a month times 12, that's $60. 2 years would be $120. For $100, you're going to get lifetime access plus the special swag bag. I'm only offering it to 50 people. This way I can raise the initial funds that I need to pay the developers, pay for the server space, because I'm not using services that websites offer like Uscreen or anything to that effect. I'm creating a site where I have control of the servers. So I have control of the site. So I don't have to worry about anything trying to censor me. If I use Wix and Wix doesn't like me, they can censor me. If I use Bluehost and they don't like me, Bluehost can censor me. If I'm doing my own hosting and I have my own servers, I don't have to worry about that. So if you'd like to contribute to my fundraiser, trying to raise $5,000 for the initial cost of everything, again, 50 people, $100, lifetime access, and you get a swag bag. Make sure you are subscribed to my new channel, Rice Against the Grain. Links are in the video description. It's right here as well. You can find it on YouTube. It's going to be where you're going to find what was known as the Stranger Than Fiction content. Is all going to be on Rice Against the Grain. Rice TVX will be focusing on crypto, economics, and politics. Again, if you have not smashed that like button, definitely smash that like button. It helps other people to find these videos. Head over to ricetvx.com and sign up for my mailing list. And take advantage of my partnership with Money Metals Exchange. You can get a free half ounce of silver. Go to moneymetals.com, be a first-time buyer, purchase a minimum of $100, which is like 5 ounces of silver, and you get a free half ounce of silver, and it's a way that you can support Rice TVX. So I greatly appreciate. Make sure you are checking out the video. Something terrible is happening to our global financial system. It's a report by Kent Lewis, kind of going into a lot more detail than we talked about on today's video about CBDCs. And I'll make sure anybody has anything else left to say here before I do wrap up. Hazley James says, thanks for your work and always keeping us in the know. I do my best, and I appreciate you saying that, Hazley. I just wonder if XRP wins, it will allow library to appeal with an updated use case for the token. I think they're very separate in that case. I would love to see that be the case, but I unfortunately don't think it's going to have an effect. But if I find out something different, I'll definitely update and let people know. Thank you. Definitely hosting ourselves, and I want to encourage a lot more people to be doing this. And Tiara, thank you so much. Dime Bar, thank you so much as well. I want to go ahead and leave you with this. I encourage you to be a blessing to others. Treat people how you want to be treated. Be the glitch you want to see in the matrix. Be the change you want to see in the world. And until next time, much love.